Namaste. Good evening. This is Dr. Aparna. I'm an Ayurvedic neuropsychotherapist. In the previous session, we were discussing about the book The Body Keeps the Score. So, in today's session, we are just continuing with that. So, establishing body brain connections with the trauma. So, what happens is, even years later, traumatized people often have enormous difficulties telling other people what has happened to them. So, their bodies re experience terror, rage, and helplessness, as well as the impulse to fight or flee. But these feelings are almost impossible to articulate. So, when something reminds traumatized people of the past, the right part of the brain reacts as if the traumatic event was happening in the present. Even if, you know, um, whenever the past is triggered, you know, what happens is the right part of the brain reacts and they feel that the traumatic event is happening in the present. But because their left brain is not working very well, they might not be aware that they are re experiencing and reenacting the past. This is not actually happening to them in the present. So, what happens is, as a result, they become furious, terrified, enraged, ashamed, or even they might froze. They might, freeze. They might become frozen or they might just freeze. So, traumatized people relieve the memory of the trauma as if it was happening to them for the first time. So, the stress level goes disproportionately high and slows to come back down. So, traumatized people, the stress level they experience is very, disproportionately high. In some other people, the mind denies what happened, but the body still shows the signs. This is why sometimes talking about the event is not enough, as the trauma gets in the way of its own resolution. So, merely talking about the event is not enough. No matter how much insight and understanding we develop, the rational brain is basically important to talk the emotional brain out of its own reality. So, what happens is the rational brain cannot, in these individuals, the rational brain cannot take the emotional brain out of its reality, its own reality. It is the past, but the rational brain cannot, it cannot take the emotional brain. Um, so what happens is emotional brain eventually takes over the rational brain. So they continue to be there, they continue to be in the past and did not know how to be here fully alive in the present. So what happens is during disasters young children usually take their cues from their parents. So, as long as their caregivers remain calm and responsive to their needs, they often survive terrible incidents without serious psychological scars. So, what happens is traumatized people become stuck. They stop growing because they cannot integrate new experience into their life, because they are stuck in their old experiences, in the trauma. So, being traumatized means continuing your life as if the trauma was still going on. Every new encounter or event is contaminated by the past, as the world is experienced with a different nervous system. So, the victim here focuses their energy on suppressing their inner chaos at the expense of, spontaneity, attempting to maintain control over these physiological reactions. So it can lead to various physical symptoms. It is not that that is what the author is explaining in this think that the trauma impacts the physiological reactions. It does not only impacts the person's psychology, it also impacts physiological reactions. So there may be autoimmune diseases, there could be chronic fatigue, and there could be some heart conditions like fibromyalgia. So this is why a person who has experienced trauma need to engage their body and mind when treating trauma. So they have to engage both the body and the mind. So when we flee, the old brain takes over and shuts down the higher brain, which contains our conscious mind. So what happens is, we were discussing about flight or fight, or situation in the last session. So when the fight or flight option isn't available, the brain keeps on secreting stress hormones long after the actual events have passed. So what happens, this intervenes and changes the parts of the brain that deal with survival. So, the most important job of the brain is to ensure our survival, even under the most miserable conditions. So, everything else is secondary. So, what needs to be done there? So, generating signals about needs that our body acts on. So, food, rest, protection, shelter, all these things, recreation, and create a map of the world to point us where to go to satisfy those needs. So a person has to generate the necessary energy and actions to get there. So, and one yeah, they also have to have the dangers and opportunities along the way. Adjust your actions based on requirements of the moment. So what happens is, psychological problems occur when our internal signals don't work. We can't get where we need to go, our actions does not correspond to our needs, and our relationships break down. So emotions are conveyed by the muscles of the body and face, and are instinctively read by other people. So for Darwin was a scientist. So emotions are the indispensable source of motivation to initiate action, but serve also to restore the organism to safety and physical equilibrium. So Darwin also wrote that being in a constant fight or flight mode was detrimental, since the animal could not ensure its own survival. So sheltering, feeding, all. So if an organism is stuck in the survival mode, its energies are focused on fighting off unseen enemies, which leaves no room for nurture, care, and love. So emotions are also felt in the gut and in the chest. So emotions are not only, the point is, emotions are not only psychological, it is physiological as well. So in the gut and in the heart. So the signs about our and others' bodies are linked by the branches of the autonomic nervous system. So there are two systems here in the autonomic nervous system. So one is the sympathetic nervous system, other is the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system acts as the body's accelerator. So it is responsible for arousal, including the fight or flight response. So activates with deep breaths. The parasympathetic, on the other hand, serves as its brake. So promotes self-preservative functions like digestion, wound healing, activates, deep exhalations. So human beings are sensitive to subtle emotional shifts in people. Slight changes, that is tension of the brow, wrinkles around the eyes, curvature of the lips, inform about how comfortable, suspicious, relaxed, or frightened someone is. So, our mirror neurons, we have something called mirror neurons inside the brain. So, our mirror neurons register other people's inner experiences, and our own bodies make internal adjustments to whatever we notice. So when the message we receive from others is that they are safe to be with, we relax. So, if we are lucky in our relationships, we also feel nourished, supported, and restored as we look into the face and eyes of the other. So, our culture teaches us to focus on personal uniqueness, but at a deeper level, we barely exist as individual organisms. So, our brains are built to help us function as members of a tribe. Most of our energy is devoted to connecting with others. Almost all the mental suffering involves either trouble in creating workable and satisfying relationships or difficulties in regulating, arousal, that is becoming enraged, shutting down, overexcited, disorganized. So being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. That is, safe connections are fundamental to meaningful and satisfying life. So, social support is the most powerful protection against being overwhelmed by stress and trauma. So, social support isn't equal to being with other people. Social support means having a relationship, being heard and validated. So many traumatized people find themselves chronically out of sync with people around them. They are not in sync with people, traumatized people. So they find friends in other traumatized people. They can hardly bond with those who haven't been traumatized. So what happens is, isolating oneself into a narrowly defined victim group promotes a view of others as irrelevant at best and dangerous at worst. So which eventually only leads to further alienation. What these people do is, they isolate or only connect people who have, experienced trauma like them, and they feel that others are irrelevant to them, or this is the best thing they feel, or the worst thing they feel is they are dangerous to them. So which eventually what it does is, it leads to further alienation. So what happens is, the summary of this is, he's telling to the author is trying to say that social connections is also the most important aspect to feel secure, to feel safe, whether it is with yourself or in a relationship or in a friend circle, is really very important. So next we will discuss, some other interesting aspects and how to, deal with trauma, the main aspect of dealing with trauma. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned.